What's up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take MLB DFS podcast. I'm your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I am joined once again by the Triple OG. You know him already. OG, Triple OG, Cash Game / GPP, Patio Joe. You can find him on Twitter at Patio Joe. Ref Joey. How you living, bro?
Living good, man. Just, hanging out. I have a guys' weekend this weekend, going to the lake, hanging out. Because last weekend I was with the twins. It was just me and the twins. So now this weekend I can get to have my little party. So probably going to bring my friend Audie.
Uh-oh.
And you know how that goes. So,
He's bringing Audie.
This is Audie with, 35 pounds lighter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
They don't know. People don't know Audie.
No.
The new nation members don't know Audie.
No,
so
probably not.
Remember we used that. Remember the last live stream of the year, the first year I told that story, the stripper stories of Audie in Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
Or in San Francisco, remember the graphic?
Oh yeah. Well, once you're told something like that, it's kind of hard to get it out of your mind, even if you wanted to. So yes, I'm sure the OG members of the Wise Take Nation, I'm sure all remember that story very, very vividly, Joe.
And maybe one day on the Wise stream again, maybe we'll if we have a little time on a shorter slate, I'll tell some more stories. You'll get a day pass. You never know when it might happen.
You never know when it might happen. Although we may have to put some kind of warning disclosure up on those days just to protect ourselves, just in case some of these people get scarred. Yeah.
It's like you said. You're like, I might have the most wildest party tendencies, but I'm the most conservative DFS player probably on the nation.
Yeah.
It's the Gemini.
I was just gonna say that you've always struck me as like a pretty balanced person. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But every once in a while you let Audie out, and the balance goes out the window. Just for a while, maybe a day, right? Like 2 hours. That's all.
Yeah.
So have fun, Joey. Have fun, man.
Of course I will.
And nobody ever has to tell Joey to have fun. If there's one thing Joe knows how to do, it's knows how to have fun.
For sure.
Joe, after a couple small slates, we have had like 2 days in a row where we've had those split slates. Today's wasn't supposed to be that small. We had 2 postponements the night before. So we've had 2 straight days of small slates. Now we have an 8-game slate with a variety of options, not a ton of separation between all these options. So it's got the feel of a much larger slate, right? I remember oh, Joey, there's a ton of options, and you were like, there's only 8 games. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right, only 8 games. What do you think, man? We glanced.
Well, I also think that just in our head, we're thinking it's the second Friday of the year. There should be a full slate. Sure. It should be our first full slate of the year. So, and I think in our head, we're thinking it's got to be bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a few teams that are. In my head, I thought it was 11 game because I thought, there's 4 early games. Everybody else has got to be playing later, but there's teams off tomorrow. So it's weird. This slate is, I like 8-game slates, first of all, just in general.
Right.
Once again, we have a slate where every pitcher on FanDuel is under 10K. So I don't mind if you don't matter what day it is. I don't care how chalky or how much I might like a pitcher. I wouldn't mind stacking against the most chalkiest pitcher on the slate because that's going to just be contrarian right there. And it seems to work more times than not. I mean, the other night against Price, it worked with the A's. There was a couple late home runs, and I wound up catching because I had the A's against Price, and everybody was under 10K. So we have another slate like this again where all the pitchers are just sort of bunched together. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 I would want to go to, and then there's everybody else I'll just not even really pay attention and I'll want to attack.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. and that's exactly it, because like there's, like I was saying earlier, there's really not a lot of separation between these options, right? Like this pitcher A, who was in the same price range as pitcher B and C, is not that far from B and C. Like they're all somewhat close together. So it's got the feel of like a little bit of a larger slate. It should just feel like there's more options, especially after like today. Like the people who played the main slate, it was like Bauer, and then like there was very few people you wanted to play today. So it's just like definitely an opposite.
How high owned was he on DraftKings?
In the donkeys, he was only like 50-something%, man. Like, and then Freed and them, like Freed and what's his name from Toronto, Aaron Sanchez, were the two guys I was the heaviest on. They were like 30% each, roughly, something in that range. It wasn't like I was shocked. Like I thought for sure he was going to be like 70 or on DraftKings, where you got to roster two pitchers. On FanDuel, sure, I get it. You can get one, take a shot at one of the other guys, but yeah. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these guys. I'm gonna pick out a few of these dudes. I'm gonna ask you their FanDuel pricing and just want you to kind of compare. But so one of the bigger price discrepancies that we talked about before the show, Colin McHugh is 9.5 on DraftKings, the most expensive pitcher on the slate going against the Athletics. And Joe, you said his price was in the 8s on FanDuel?
Yeah, he is 8.6.
8.6
on FanDuel, and I mean the same thing. He's bunched right up there, sort of within the top three with Pavetta and Bieber. So that's a classic case of I'm stacking those A's against McHugh and hoping they go off. I'm not. He's nothing special.
Yeah.
And I think tomorrow it's basically like, what are the bad offenses that we want to target? Yeah. And those are the pitchers we want. It's not. I'm going to say who's a better offense, Oakland, Toronto, or Minnesota. You know what I mean? Like, to me, the worst offense in those three is Toronto. I mean, they've been no hit through 5 or 6 innings like 4 times already this year. Like they're just not hitting the ball. Yeah. They're in sell mode already. Yeah. They got rid of Pilar this week, and they got rid of Morales before the beginning of the season. Right. So they're kind of in like sell mode anyways.
Right.
So that's why I think, we just got to find these bad offenses, and those are the pitchers we need tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think that's how you separate the options you like from the rest of the field is kind of play the opponents and catch on to the trends that are happening now. I completely agree with that. That brings us to the cash game conversation. SP1 on DraftKings, your cash game pitcher on FanDuel, it's got to be Bieber, right? Going against Toronto.
Yeah, it's got to be. He's a good pitcher too. It's not like he only threw 2 innings. He hasn't even started. This is his first start of the year.
Yeah, well, what happened with the schedule is some of the pitchers that are in the back of the rotation didn't have to pitch, like to keep their 1 and 2 guys on a 5-day rotation. They let them pitch anyway, and I guess the Indians looked at it like, okay, well, that'll be a good way to limit his innings a little bit, give him a little bit of a break in the beginning of the season. So yeah, this will be. I think they used him in relief in one game, and this will be his first actual start. So it's a good point.
So yeah, I think it's a good guy to lock in. He's probably the safest option. The other guy, and we just spoke of him just when we started, and I was wondering how much he'd be up to speed, is Gausman.
Yeah.
I read something. I checked on this. He threw 90 pitches in his minor league start Saturday. Mm-hmm. So he should be up to speed to go 100 pitches tomorrow. And at 7,200 on FanDuel,
oh my gosh,
I love it against the Marlins. I think it's a misprice, and I don't think people are going to know that he threw 90 pitches. It was a simple. I just Googled Kevin Gausman news. It said 90 pitches in his minor league start. So, I mean, you got to be, even if he just goes 80 to 90, he gives us 6 innings, he gets us a QS at 7,200. If he was nails at the end of the year last year. Mm. And he's facing the Marlins. So I don't know. I like him, and I'm liking him more and more that I'm looking at him. His price on DK to me makes him more of even a better play on FanDuel because DK obviously sees something.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because there's a price. So what do you think about Gausman?
I think it's fine. I mean, it's Miami. I do think Miami's bad. I would have preferred this game, I guess, to be in Miami just for the comfort of the park. But yeah, at the same time, Gausman's a guy that has performed better at home. We don't know if that's going to be the case here in Atlanta. He just got here last year, but when he played for Baltimore, even though it was a bad park, a lot of the time his strikeout numbers were slightly higher. So I'm fine with him on FanDuel, sure. At that price, like in tournaments, he's got to be getting some love there. Like for the guys that want to load up, like yeah. On DraftKings at 9K, he's just too close to Bieber. It's like, oh yeah, I can grab some, but I think Bieber is the one I want more of for another $300 because I don't know. I guess like I feel more comfortable with him, and I feel good about attacking Toronto right now. Miami's just as bad. Don't get me wrong. Miami's awful. But on FanDuel, and like that's the other thing is like on DraftKings, you kind of feel like you're getting ripped off if you're playing him at 9K. Like, I mean, on FanDuel, I could have had him for 7 something. You know what I mean? Like, you almost feel like, see him. Exactly. See him.
Yeah, and you gotta also think that you're gonna be pitching. It's only gonna be 51 actually, so it's not gonna be too cold in Cleveland. Yeah. But I'd rather be pitching in Cleveland, be hitting in Atlanta than hitting in Cleveland right now. I guess the SV2 option that I would be looking at from a first look would be Joe Musgrove to me. His price kind of meets where we would want on DK to lock in Bieber. And Musgrove would be around what was that? That'd probably be about 17,000. That'd be great to start off with, and then you could just go. You could have a couple pay up for a good spots. That'd be a good spot. I just think once again, it's not like Musgrove is a great pitcher. He's a above average pitcher facing a lineup that they're good hitters, but they're just not hitting right now. So we need to take advantage.
Oh,
of
the
that.
Reds are awful right now. They are just awful.
And Scheffler's had his first hit today.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, they are just in the shitter. Like they went and got the 2 people from the Dodgers that the Dodgers probably were like dying to get rid of. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? To Puigdemont, and just so inconsistent. Adding already to they've been awful. So yeah, I think you're right. I think in cash games, I'd be surprised if Musgrove wasn't one of the more popular, if not the most popular. In tournaments, I think that the next like price discrepancy that we have here between FanDuel and DraftKings is Nick Pivetta. I think Pivetta will get a lot of traction on DraftKings as an SP2 in tournaments. I do agree with you that Musgrove, I think, is the more cashy option against Cincinnati, better ballpark. Rather than attacking Minnesota with a bunch of lefties in Philly. But 7-7. 7-7 for Pivetta on DraftKings, man.
That's just weird. Like to me, that's like they're like switched. Those 2 are switched. Pivetta and Gausman. They're like they should be switched. I think, in my opinion.
On which site?
On DK. Like I think Pivetta should be a little bit higher. Yeah. Like I don't understand why he's the top pitcher on FanDuel, but yet he's the 7th or 8th below Frankie Montas. I just don't. I mean, whatever. Yeah. It's not. It's to me. I think Pavetta's in a good spot. Minnesota's not a great hitting team, but they're better hitters, I think, than the Reds. So I'm fine with that. What about like Rick Porcello? Any love with him? I just like no.
Yeah, he's going to go, I'm sure he'll go under the radar, but I don't like what I'm seeing from Boston's pitchers right now. Like, all of them. Erod got jacked up today by the A's. Like, Sale don't look right. Like their approach to to spring training has, like, clearly gotten them off to, like, a slow start with these guys. Like they're all in, like, spring training form. And I get the feeling that Arizona, I want to look at their numbers against righties because they've been facing a lot of lefties lately. And against lefties, they're tough to strike out. Like they got all these dudes like Wilmer Flores, some of these guys that aren't terribly threatening, but they're tough to strike out. So I want to see how they do against righties. But I'm more interested, I think, right now in attacking Boston pitchers until they finally come around. They're on a West Coast road trip, right? They just went through that, did not do well. They were in Seattle, did not play well there. They just lost together. I think they lost 2 out of 3 to the A's, and now they're going into Arizona. I don't know. I feel like maybe
Arizona opening day.
Yeah.
Okay, what about this guy? Because there is a little bit of a price discrepancy between the two sites. On DK, to me, I feel like he's very, very attractive. I don't know much about him, but I read his last game. Trent Thornton.
Yeah, dude.
He's the lowest pitcher on the site. He had 8 strikeouts in 5 innings last week against Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland's lineup isn't anything to write home about.
Hey, man.
What do you think about Trent Thornton? I don't mind him
cool with
if you're going to go all the way down.
I'm cool with it, man. I'm cool with picking on Cleveland. I know it was Detroit that he played well against, 8 Ks. Okay, it was Detroit, but Cleveland is striking out a ton right now. If you look at their 2019 numbers against righties for their starting lineups that they've been putting out here, it's ridiculously high. They are now. Here's one thing I'll say: Cleveland always kind of has played better at home for whatever reason, but I think it's a little deeper than that. I think that Francisco Lindor is just such a big pick-me-up for this whole team and like the Energizer Bunny there, and they're just missing his presence. They're missing him out of that lineup. So I'm with it, man. 6'2", tournaments, of course. But yeah, I think that's a great call. I was pretty big on him against Detroit that day. So I don't mind it at all. I was big on Aaron Sanchez today. That didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. He didn't do terrible, but yeah, I got no problems attacking Cleveland. I think that's a great idea for tournaments.
I mean, to me, I feel like on FanDuel now, just looking at the slate, I feel like Gausman, Thornton, Musgrove, I just don't think has the upside at 7,800. And then
FanDuel, right? Yeah.
Then a Bieber. Yeah, I'm just saying. And then I'm FanDuel. I'm just saying Bieber. So I got basically 3 pitchers I might go to tomorrow. I got Bieber, I have Thornton, and I have Gausman. And if Gausman goes 100 pitches, he could be the top pitcher on slate. I feel like. I want to know. I want to know what Paulie thinks, but I just think that he went him going 90 pitches in his last start on Saturday is really, really encouraging to me, because that just means that they wanted to build him up. They're not going to only throw him 5 tomorrow.
Right. No,
assuming touchdown is down.
I think that makes sense, man. I think that makes sense. Like I said on FanDuel, you're getting a bargain, no doubt. On DraftKings, it's more of multiple teams. You want to get some shares of him because he will be low. He'll be crazy low owned on DraftKings, right? Like people who play both sites are playing him on FanDuel. They're just going with Pavetta. I'm sorry, Bieber, and just kind of calling it a day. Let's go over a few spots that I think I want your opinion in terms of let's get into. We have a couple interesting pitching options that we might want to attack, right? So number one, the first situation, I want to gauge your interest here. Jake Odorizzi in Philly. We have an extreme fly ball pitcher who, granted, has a knack for strikeouts. There's no, I'll give him that. But an extreme fly ball pitcher in Philly against the likes of Bryce Harper, Rhys Hoskins, so on and so forth. You know the Philly team. What do you think? Are you trying to attack that, or do you think that's a trap? Because Odorizzi can be a troll,
Yes, that's the thing. He's one of those pitchers where on paper you're going to look up. We're going to go on Plate IQ. We're going to look it up. It's going to be like, oh my God, yes. And then it's just going to be they're going to get 3 runs, and it's going to be oh yeah. Basically, just the Astros of every stinking day this week. Yeah. Just the Astros. Every day. Freaking Astros. Every day this week. Hello, wake up. You're supposed to be one of the best hitting ball clubs in the freaking world.
Tell them, Joe. They don't know.
They don't know,
Joe. Tell them how it is.
Seriously. Do you realize probably how much money Vegas made this week off
the Astros? Yeah, they're happy. Oh yeah.
Honestly, I think the optimizers were built just on the Astros. Let's just throw the Astros out there. Yeah. Astros and Blue Jays just fart them out, and that's what they did. Literally every single pitching match you'd be like, oh man, they didn't score a run off of Mike Minor. Yeah. I mean, they made a Mike Major the other day. It was man.
Shout out, by the way, speaking of which, shout out to Thunder Dan, who did write the tournament article that day and was on Mike Minor, man. Shout out that man. You were talking about putting your nuts on the table, stones. Take some stones, man.
That's good, man.
Take some stones, man. I like it. I do. Ballsy for sure. But what about Lance Lynn against the Angels? Where are you with like Lance Lynn? The Angels have enough lefties for you to be interested?
That's the thing, yeah. Like the thing is, it always is with the Angels is going to be like Trout and then who else?
Right.
Maybe Boer, maybe just a mini stack.
Yeah.
Trout and Boer.
Yeah.
Maybe Calhoun because he's lefty.
Yeah,
right?
he just hit a bomb tonight, actually, Calhoun.
So maybe 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Like, don't try and overthink it with the Angels. Like, they're even when they get hot, I don't think they're like have like 10 or 15 runs in them hot.
No, I know.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think the chalk stack is going to be Boston against Godley.
Yeah, I
I
can see that. They're, I think, the highest projected run total, right? Which is only like 4.8 right now. We'll see if it moves between now and then, but not a ton of high run totals.
I think that, but like, where honestly, like, is there any sneaky like teams that maybe we want to stack against?
Well,
I mean, like a guy like Pivetta, do we want to stack against him? Or
we definitely could with all the lefties on Minnesota. Like that's definitely an option. And the flat bar rates, I don't think that's a bad idea, especially because on DraftKings he's gonna be, like I said, popular in tournaments to a degree. I would think. I do like Pivetta right now, but I don't think it's the worst idea to look in to see if there's opportunity or in leverage if he is going to be highly owned. So that's a situation we'll want to look into tomorrow. Show.
What about this game? Just in general. First look, Chicago,
I was just
Milwaukee.
going to ask you about that game. That's the interesting one to me too. It's one of the better parks on the slate for hitting, right?
Mm.
We've got Jose Quintana, who's again, he's good. He's like normally a decent guy. He's not a guy you typically want to pick on all that much usually, because like you'll get a couple runs, but you're guessing and who those guys are going to be. You never know. It might be a lefty, might be a righty, and like he's fairly good at limiting his damage. But the Cubs bullpen has been awful, man. Like in the Braves series, their bullpen was a disaster. So I'm interested in the Brewers here. I mean, I'm looking like the Brewers. And I say Peralta made him look ridiculous the other day, but for the most part, if you look at the stats,
Castillo.
No,
That
Peralta,
game.
I think.
Well,
No, you're right,
Peralta
Castillo. I'm sorry, Castillo. I'm thinking of Castillo. You are correct, but yeah, he was able to get some strikeouts. Castillo's also got like a 15% swinging strike rate or something like that, so he's on like a little bit of a different level in terms of strikeout abilities than Jose Quintana. So. You look at all these righties: Lorenzo Cain, Ryan Braun, Aguiar, as Cam says, Aguiar, Grandal. Like I like the Milwaukee bats. And I mean, how could you not like the Cubs against Woodruff? The only thing with Milwaukee is I don't love picking on their bullpen. That's the only. But it's a great park. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's a very sneaky game to where it could you could go there and it could totally just Quintana could give up 2 runs and be okay and go 7 innings and it just doesn't work out. But could also blow up if they can get to Quintana and get to that bullpen. I like you saying, like I'm a big believer in once this season really gets going after 2, 3, 4 weeks, I want to really start getting into the meat of like these bullpens because that's where you
that's the upside, man.
40% of all innings come from bullpen.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you won't realize that.
That sounded so much like it's not at all like it made perfect sense, but it sounded just like the whole like 60% of the time it works every time.
It works every time. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But no, I completely agree with you. That's where a lot of the upside comes from. You think about upsides like those games where teams score. Like you want to make it to where it's so bad. Like that, they're using their outfielder to pitch because their bullpen just got wrecked. So, like, whether the bullpen is worn out or just bad, like a lot of times that's, and that's an advantage. I think that people can kind of use if you really have the time to dig and follow the schedule. And NBA following the schedule, like from the midpoint of the season on, is like a huge edge. And if you can manage to follow it, like today, for instance, with Strasburg, the early slate, Strasburg playing the Mets. The Mets had like a weird schedule, dude. Like their home opener was today at 1. They played a night game yesterday in Miami. So they didn't get to New York till 2:25 in the morning. And they haven't been home. They were on a road trip. They went from Syracuse, which was their fault, straight to the road to Washington, then went to Miami, hadn't even been home yet, get home at 2:45, wake up and go to a game at 1 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes, using the schedules, it's not as much in basketball. Baseball is not as, I guess, like taxing of a sport necessarily on as basketball is, I guess. But, yeah, anyway, I'm with you.
That's the thing. What about, like, the Red Sox?
Yeah, man.
They've been on the road since the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Like, they got to be.
And not just on the road, but, like, across the country.
First of all, they got to be tired from, like, being in all these different cities, banging all these women in Seattle, Oakland, and something. I mean, literally. You got to think, dude. You got to understand. Come on now. Like, but, like, honestly, I think JD Martinez is going back to Arizona, so we'll see that. And that might be something. But what about some of these Rangers against Pena?
I kind of like Pena. I mean, I hate to sound like that's how this business is, right? The one day you love them. I love the Rangers today against Harvey. They're one of my favorite stacks. They were one of my bets, which, by the way, 1-0 so far. The A's won. If the Rangers finish the game with a win, I would be 2-0, making me 10-1, baby, for MLB season. Mm-hmm. Anyway, quick plug. But yeah, what were we talking about?
We're talking about Felix Pena. These Rangers.
Yeah, my concern with the Rangers is when there's a pitcher that has a really good slider. They do have a tendency to elevate their whiff race. Guys like Joey Gallo, some of these guys, they can strike out a lot. There's a ton of power there, and I wouldn't play him in cash, but I'm kind of interested in him. I think I would lean towards Pena, at least for now, in a tournament.
Well, I mean, honestly, he is dirt cheap on FanDuel for $5,500.
Wow, that's a really
okay.
Low price.
Let me tell you this: September 12th versus Texas, 6 innings, 0 runs, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk.
Yeah. September
24th, 2 weeks later versus Texas, 7 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 6 strikeouts. Both times you will take for $5,500.
Yeah, that's a really good price. On DraftKings, it's a little more aggressive. He's I think he's 7.4 or something like that. So, yeah, FanDuel, that seems like he's drastically underpriced.
That seems like a spot. I mean, you can fit every single big stack if you want, whatever you like, whoever you want to stack against, you could fit him in and go to war with Pena. And I'm telling you, he's not a bad pitcher. He pitched last year quite a lot, and I mean, he never really got that blown up. I mean, there was a few times, a little bit here and there, but nothing. There was 2 times I'm looking through his game logs where he really got.
Pena's got a nasty slider. That's one thing he does have. He's got a that's about all he's got. But he's got a real nasty slider. And when he's pitching at home, he's got the benefit of a larger park. I do feel the Angel Stadium is more favorable to lefties. And Todd, one of our members, actually pointed that out in the chat during the live stream today. And what do you know? Right off the bat, Gallo, Guzman hit a home run. Calhoun hits a home run on the other side. So, on FanDuel, that seems like a steal at 5.5 for tournaments. Nothing to go too crazy about. But if you really, really want to load up on these expensive stacks, if you do want to play Boston and some of these more expensive, stacks, then that could be an easy route to get there while still keeping some upside, because he does have some upside. He's got some that price. At that price.
And if he gives you 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, gives up 2 runs.
Yeah, you get the quality start, you get a win.
Even if he doesn't win, you know what I mean? That it's so nice.
Yeah.
That's a misprice, and it's funny because I really feel like FanDuel this year to start out has upped the pricing on a lot of the players.
Yeah, and then they do this. Mm-hmm. I got one other pitcher to ask you about here. What do you want to do with Sonny Gray, man? He didn't look very good his first start.
No, I mean, and the thing is that I think that we were talking about cash games. It's damn, earlier in the week, man, Adam Frazier, great cash option. Now they moved his price up to 3.5. Now he's not a cash option anymore. It's that. That's my point. They boost people up really, really quick. there's just no like punch in that
I know it's so tough.
Like,
It's so tough.
like when you have Francisco Cervelli batting third,
Yeah.
like I guess you could go with Bell and Jun Ho Gong. He's good. If there was a lefty playing, I would feel like okay, Cabrera. But the guy who I want to say the guy who qualified the other night for the FanDuel qualifier had a Pittsburgh stack, so it was a lower level. So I just don't, I wouldn't know where to really go.
You just never know where to start. Like, which one of these small ball dudes do I want? Like, well, it's C-Dick. He was the easy way out. C-Dick, right? Now he's on the 10-day DL, so he's But yeah, no, I agree. It's like you want to take advantage of Sonny Gray, but at the same time, you don't know where to start. Like on a small slate, you'll figure it out. On an 8-game slate with a few options that we've already talked about, it's a little tougher to get there. I agree, and it's such a huge park. Also, I do agree. All right, let's go ahead and get into some top threes, or actually, should we build the team first? Yeah, let's do the cash game teams first. You want to do that?
Yes.
You got FanDuel pulled up there?
Yep.
All right, so FanDuel Bieber, right?
Yes.
All right, let's plug in Biebs. Now, if we're thinking that Boston is going to have a good amount of popularity, if we were going to choose one of Betts or JD, who are you feeling right now against Godley?
I mean, right now, I'm gonna pick JD Martinez.
Go with the extra little narrative, all right?
I'm gonna go with the extra little narrative.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I would do. The pricing is the JD's $100 more. I don't think it really matters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think that makes sense. Is there any particular value option that kind of stood out to you in like your typical punt positions over there, like second base or?
I would love. It would depend on where he's hitting.
Right.
But like maybe if a guy like Nick Williams were to play tomorrow against Breezy, he's min price on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Don't mind that at all. I also would not mind a Jared Dyson 2,500 on FanDuel leading off against Porcello.
Right.
That's a good option. Or maybe Winker against Musgrove. But I think we would either I think just for safe, I want to lock in Dyson right now.
Yeah.
Just because he's 2,500 for a cash game. He's good value right there. Yeah. He's going to be leading off. We know. I'll be confident putting him in just from first look.
I'm with it. You see any other players right now you want to plug in, or should we just call it there for the DraftKings?
The only other player maybe I would want to go to would be right now Ronald Acuna.
Acuna Matata. I can always play some Acuna. He's been hurting me the last couple of days. But he's been a little slow to go, but he's also been a little chalky, and I don't think he's going to be as popular here. I like that call going to him. Acuna, have him wake up against Pablo, PD Pablo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with it. So we got four players. We've got JD. We've got the pitcher, Bieber. We've got value. Who is the Dyson?
Dyson,
yeah. Okay. DraftKings
still got almost 3,000 per player after that. Probably, if you were doing another build, you probably want to pay down somewhere at second base or third base for maybe like a Jung Ho Gong, depending on where he's batting. He's pretty hot, and then you could probably afford another fairly decent bats in the 3,000 range.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. DraftKings, Bieber again, I think is the consensus. SP2, I like the call on Musgrove, man. Like in cash games, doesn't he just feels safe? The Reds aren't very good. I agree with you. We have some ceiling concerns, but the floor just seems a little too high to pass up at that price. So let's do it. We'll stick with the JD Martinez theme to get us exposure to that Boston chalk against Godley, and we'll play the narrative, baby. Let's hunt after this for some value. We are going to have Ben Zobrist at 3,800 as an option, guy that doesn't typically strike out a ton. You can play him outfield or second base, so if we didn't have options that we liked in second base, I don't hate the idea of trying Zobrist in a smaller park. What do you think? I mean, that price is fair, really kind of fair, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let's go with
that's not bad.
Let's go with Mr. Zopes here, and for now, I'm going to plug him at second. Let's find one more player. We got 4 here. Let's look for just one more guy, Joey. What about Cole Calhoun at 3,900 against Lance Lynn? What do you? I think that's a fair price. Leading off.
Trout batting behind him.
I like it. I like the call. That's what we're gonna do. That was quick. Why can't I find this guy? Doesn't matter. They can't see the screen. They heard it. It's Cole Calhoun.
Not like we got the little CK.
Yeah, the screen.
My wife saw that the other day, and he was like, "Wait a minute. So is there like a big screen behind him?" I'm like, no. I'm pretty sure he's sharing his screen, and then he kind of just puts up something.
I'm in the corner chilling. It's like you should tell her it's like what do they call that Star Lab kind of system I have in my office. So it's like a Star Lab kind of thing. It's just...
One of these days, you put up like a map of where you live and be like, we have the clouds coming in from the south. Yeah. And they
some weather shit.
Doing weather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
one time I did get Wisco. Like, Wisco did a couple shows with us a couple of years ago, and he had gotten up. So, like, I took a screenshot of his, because I have a green screen. So I took a screenshot of his, like, room when he got up with his chair, and I put it behind me. So it looked like I was sitting in his room. It was like...
The only way you could tell the difference was the number of beer cans kept on accumulating as the show goes on.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, I've got like 20 here.
4 beer cans.
You've only got 4 over there. Like, something ain't right. All right, we're going to do some top threes. We'll do top 3 pitchers, top 3 stocks. We'll do some dong watch, pick some home runs. But before we do that, I'm going to remind everybody, if you haven't already, check us out at whitestake.com. Get over here. Already had our first 50K winner of the season, our boy B-Do, baby, long-time White Stake Nation member. It seems like this comments pretty much every day when I go into that Slack chat, man. Our guys Thunder Dan and Stevie have been on the ball. Juan Bond, big huge presence added to the golf package, also writing cash games on Thursdays. Patio Joe chipping in, obviously, 3 to 4 days a week. We got Cam doing his cheat sheets every day. Paulie D and me and Freshie are holding down the NBA as that winds down, and also contributing to MLB. It's just a great time to be playing DFS, so I recommend you guys get over. Come check us out. A day pass for baseball is $2.50. You'll get access to all the baseball content for 1 day. You'll get access to the Y stream, a stream we do 2 hours before lock after everybody's done their research. You get access to the cash game article, tournament article, any other article we put out that day for baseball, you will get access to it. So come check us out, $2.50. Eventually, you're going to want the Slack chat. That you don't get with the day pass. That you got to be a monthly member or higher. So I do recommend. Eventually, you're going to want to save some money, and you're going to want to be in that Slack chat, because that's really like a whole second perk you get of on top of the content. So get that with the month membership or higher. Joe, top 3 pitchers.
All right, so this is a little bit site dependent. Number 1 though on all sites is going to be Bieber. Number 2 for me on DK is going to be Musgrove, and then number 3 on DK is going to be Mr. Trent Thornton. No, the other side is Bieber on FanDuel. Number 2 for me on FanDuel is going to be Kevin Gausman. And number 3 for me on FanDuel is going to be Felix Pena.
You just dropped the knowledge on him, Joey. Yeah, I'm Bieber on both sides for me as well. I think number 2 on DraftKings, I'm going to roll with Pivetta. Number 2 on FanDuel, I'm going to roll with Gausman. And for number 3 on DraftKings, I'm going to roll with you on Thornton. And on FanDuel, I got to go with Pena at 5.5. I think that's just too low. And that are the pitchers. Top 3 stacks, Joey.
Top 3 stacks I want to go with tomorrow. Boston. Let's go with the Braves and the Phillies.
I like it, man. I'm going to go with the Brewers. I'm going to go with the Phillies as well. And I'm going to go with the D-backs, man. I'm going to stick with that theme of attacking the Boston starting pitchers, man.
I don't mind the D-backs. I think they'll be sneaky. I don't think people will go to them.
When you look at that lineup, though, it feels dirty. Like when you're looking at Nick Ahmed and Adam Jones and these guys, like it's Dyson, like you said, it gets dirty. It's just like, ooh.
And you know what's weird though? It's like I was saying with FanDuel, David Peralta's 4,300 on FanDuel.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. How players are priced up right now at the start of the season. I think last year, I feel like the players were priced down.
Oh yeah,
everybody you could.
Yeah, in basketball they showed a tremendous switch too. Got out of hand over there. Home runs, Joey. Who you got first?
I'm just going to go with the narrative, go with JD.
JD, I'm with it. I'm going to go with Ryan Braun.
All right, my number 2 is going to be Hakuna Matata.
I do like the Hakuna Matata call. That was sick. Let's go with Rhys Hoskins against Jake Odorizzi.
Rhys Hoskins. All right, and then I'm going to end it with... Oh, boy. Where I saw him earlier. Where is he?
Oh, Meoff? Too clever for that one, huh?
It depends on if he's playing. That's the problem. I'm going to go with another Boston player, and I hope he's playing Mitch Moreland.
Mitch Moreland, I like that. It's gonna be cheap as well. I'll wrap it up with David Peralta. I mean, I got to pick somebody I think is going to hit a home run. Although I would expect Lamb to play. Unless he's hurt. Yeah. I would expect Lamb to play. But I'll go with David Peralta. And that is going to do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a like and a share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, give us a follow, give us a retweet. And if you're listening to us on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews. Joey, anything of closing before we get up out of here and we let Audie loose?
Have fun tomorrow, guys. Have a good weekend. I will see you guys a little bit more tan on Sunday night when we're breaking down Monday slate.
Boom. There you got it. For Patio Joe, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, Joey, good luck.
Peace.